Evening, guys. So here we are again, episode number 7. You're not getting rid of us that easy. It's just going to carry on, and let's see where we get to. So, welcome to the We Know Nothing show, guys. And tonight we've got a real special guest. Very honoured to have the living legend that is Darren Finch on. Welcome, Finchy pal. Just a little couple of things. Finch has been like a bit of a mentor to me and Youngie when we were at college together, a bit of a football guy to us, telling us what we're doing wrong and telling us what we're doing right. And just enjoy it, guys. Now the guy's a legend. He's got many stories. He's still involved in football now, which is fantastic. To have someone still involved in a football capacity to come on the show, ex-professional footballer as well, played at a very high standard as well. So as always, guys, I know that you probably get bored of this bit, but like I said, any feedback's welcome. Let's try and keep the negativity to a minimum. Like I said, it's just two lads on the show. You started the show, you know absolutely nothing about football. And we're just going to go see where we go with it. So welcome as always to the hostess with the mostess. Welcome, Youngie. Enjoy, guys, and we'll put the video up as soon as possible. Enjoy.
So again, welcome, Finchy. And as Mark said, Finch has been a massive input for me and Mark in football coaching terms, as well. 29 years I just found out that Finch has been coaching for now, which is amazing. And I'm just going to go through a couple of the clubs. Burnley, Preston, Bury, Oldham, Blackburn, something called Ex-Pro, currently at Morecambe, coaching the under-18s, Cincinnati, and I'm sure there's more in there, but if you want to fill them in, Finchy, but I know Cincinnati was pretty close to your heart. I think it's one that you would love to get involved in again if you ever had the opportunity.
I'm not so much now because I've obviously got grandchildren and family.
Yeah.
But I had probably the best 5 years of my life when I was in Cincinnati, coaching just initially with a director of coaching for a club called Team Cincinnati, who then filtered into a club called Cincinnati United Premier, which was all the best players in the city. And then they went into a club called Dayton Gemini, who was in the PDL League, which was like the third division, like a semi-pro league. And eventually I oversaw the whole structure. So I had 32 coaches under me, ranging from under 8s right up to the senior team, which was really a great experience, because not only through the football side of things, but the fact in 5 years living in the States, we saw 28 states, which was down to the job, really, flying in a private plane with one of the owners to tournaments and to things.
Very nice.
A good part of my life, and a good part of my life for my family as well. Was Zach, my son, when he was 7 when he went out there.
Yeah.
When he came back to England, he had as you remember, he had a real broad American accent. And
he did.
It was
he did.
No, it was a very good experience. One I'd push young lads now. And in the past, when I've been at other clubs, when we've released players at 18, I've helped them get to America in college, scholarships and things.
Yeah.
So from being a negative when they've been told they're not getting a professional contract, to then going to America and still there 10 years later.
That's amazing, isn't it?
We've got families there. It's the best thing what's ever happened to them. And I always say to people, one door shuts and another one opens. I mean, because obviously in the football wise, my claim to fame was an apprentice professional at Blackburn. Being a Burnley lad, went down really well. And I got it first team, travelled 3 or 4 times, but I was told at 18, 19, see you later. So I've been there and I know how it feels to be told you're just not ready for that next stage. So I think that's worked well in my favour to a degree, because you've been in that situation and you know how to approach players, whether they're under 8, getting told they're not getting a contract from the 9, or whether he's 28 and he's not going to get another year as a pro.
Yeah.
But sorry, Finch, you carry on.
I say it stands in good stead, but I think the best years of my coaching development was in America.
Yeah.
Whereas all my family was here, my mum and dad and everything. That's the only thing I missed. I really missed my family, but it made me and my wife and my family do things we were on our own, really, you know. So it was tough, but we got through it. And the advice I give any budding coach now with a young family is get to States or get somewhere like that.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a fantastic repertoire of clubs that you've coached at. Mark, just move your mic down a little bit. You're breathing really heavy. Yeah, and you've clubs as well as, like say, you claim is being a youth player at Blackburn, which is obviously being a Burnley fan. And we'll go into a bit in Burnley.
There's a story on that one. I'll tell you that story. Don't worry about that one.
Is it too bad for this, or can we have it?
No. It's a clean story, but it's a good one.
Let's have it. Let's have your story.
Well, obviously, I was a young lad and I was at Gawthorpe School, which is no longer there, sadly now. But as you know, Burnley's training ground was literally a stone's throw away. And I played for Lancashire schoolboys with David Miller, who was Brian Miller's son.
Yeah.
And so Brian, the Burnley manager, would come to our house occasionally, take me and Dave to Lancashire Cup games and things. So I knew the first team manager, Mr. Miller, as I used to call him, because he was Dave's dad. And him and Frank Casper occasionally would watch me train and play at Gawthorpe. Never got offered to go to Burnley. In that time period, I was going to Everton on trial, Blackburn on trial. Other clubs wanted me to go on trial. And then when Blackburn offered me an apprenticeship when I was 14, I was training with first team at 14, and the manager was John Pickering then. And bless him, he's no longer here, but he had me training with first team at 14-year-old. So they were really good with me. And it used to break my dad's heart to a degree because he was a mad claret going to Ewood Park every day. But then Blackburn offered me a 2-year deal when I left school. So the day I agreed to it and signed, we had a big party at home, family party, a cake in blue and white halves with all little blue footballers. And all my uncles and aunties are all Burnley fans and cousins and that. So you can imagine what they were doing to cake.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, the phone rang, and it was Brian Miller asking for my dad. And I thought, oh, we must have a game for Lancashire. And then found out Burnley wanted me to go down there and offered me an apprenticeship. So, but I'd already signed for Blackburn. So I was a bit upset at the time, obviously.
Yeah.
But I used to love them playing against Burnley. When all my mates would come down at Gawthorpe and things, and you could hear them as 200 people, but they'd be all giving me some real grief because I'm a claret running around in a blue and white top. And I can honestly say we never lost. So
there you go.
So that training then with the at 14 with the first team, that would explain your no-nonsense approach to your tough tackling approach as you got obviously older in the staff games and stuff like that. Because that's one of the things that I used to look at and be like, you go all in with it. You know, there's no messing about. You're serious and stuff.
Yeah, that was down to my dad when I was young. He used to do things to the extreme. So I remember once I was 7-year-old and I just played for Padiham Green Primary School, scored 3 for the under-11s, come running home with the football kit still on, and we lived right next to the school, big fields, and my dad said, get your boots back on, get outside. And he had a case ball in them days with all the laces in. It was heavy as rock, and he pumped it up to as hard as he could, and he booted it about 30 foot in the air and said, edit. And he had me edit ball because he'd seen me let the ball bounce in a game, then edit. Now my mum came out because it was raining, and the dye off the ball, I used to have really, really blonde hair then as a little one, and my hair were red, so she thought I'd cut my head. So she gave me dad grief. He said, he'll bloody head that ball next time. And I did. And that's how he was. You know, he was hard as nails because he'd left school at 15 and Bolton Wanderers wanted him. But his dad then was get a proper job, either work on railway or go down pit.
Yeah.
So he worked on railway, job done. He didn't pick a ball up till he was 27 in local leagues, and I think he still got the top goal scoring. He scored 75 goals in 20 games.
Wow.
And he was hard as nails.
I thought my record were all right. My word.
Yeah. So he would have been a top player. Would have been a top pro. 100%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But it's a work hard, play hard ethic, isn't it? That's the thing. That's what I found from my younger years that I had with you, was that you work hard, and then when you get on that football pitch, you play like you work, and you.
I mean, end of the day, he used to do all kinds of stuff. Honestly, cricket, for example. I used to love cricket. And I was better at cricket than football as a kid. And I weren't allowed to wear pads. I weren't allowed to wear gloves. I was 10-year-old, and he'd come steaming in with a corky, wrapping it around my ribs and my shins. So when I go to secondary school, I'm like Jeff Boycott. Teacher's like, "Who do you play? Who's taught you?" I said, "My dad." He said, "Have you worn pads before?" I said, "No." I said, "Pads are for softies." But that's how he were. And he brought me up hard as nails. And that's how I find that difficult now in this present time in youth football, because I look at the players now, and I often say this to them. I said, "I'd love to take you back to 1980 and drop you into the dressing room at Ewood Park in 1980.
They wouldn't know what in Finch.
By 9:30, you'd have all quit."
Yeah. Just a staff game, Finch. You can take it back that far, and that was, and you've seen dressing rooms and on videos and I have anyway on films and stuff like that of what it was like back then. But even our staff games that we had, it brought it brought me on into that.
Well, I used to love the staff games, because you remember rightly, I used to play with all you lot.
Yeah,
I'd go and play with the kids. I'd say, "I'll take you. We'll play." I remember the one day we actually won a game.
Yeah.
You thought you'd won World Cups. I said, "When you win that, you beat them one day," and you did. You listened to me, and they lost the rags, if you remember. They weren't happy, but that was something. What some of you lads walk off that pitch as though you'd won World Cup. That's very much meant, because you got chonked every Friday, didn't we? You used to get absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, 100%.
And I said, one day, I think you mentioned it earlier, Tony, was the fact we're all legs and that, but you didn't play with your head. When I got that into you, you won the game.
Yeah.
And that was a memorable thing. I know it's not your staff game, but it was people looking at me and saying, "Yeah, it's right. He's right. He's doing what we're doing."
Sorry, Mark, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think as we got older, me and Youngie always used to me and Youngie, we developed a really good partnership up when we were playing football together. And I think what did it for me is coming out of that staff game when we won, is that we'd earned the respect of the ex-pros, because they knew then every Friday they were going to be in a game with us, because we changed our mentality to be tough, and we'd be going into tackles with them and not pulling out and stuff, and gradually each week we earn the respect to play it, to deserve to be in them games. And that's the thing for me, that's one of the things that I'll take to the grave with me, is that them staff games improve me as a footballer tenfold.
And not just as a footballer, as a person. Everything's achievable.
But if you remember, for me, Finchy, I started working there not long after we started college there, and I started doing a little bit of the going out to schools in an evening and bits and stuff like that. So, and these people were, yourself included, were my peers. I've got to look up to them if that's where you're going to aim as a footballer, or as a, if you don't make it as a footballer. I've always seen that the next best thing along that line is football coaching.
Yeah, well, we were talking about that not so long ago at the club, and I said I wish I knew now, if I were younger, as a footballer, knowing how you think as a coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The experience you've gained as a coach over 20 odd years, if you had that in your knowledge when you played, what a player you'd be.
100%.
And I tell the young kids that now at Morecambe, take little bits out what we're trying to tell you, and you've got to stick.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about Morecambe. Obviously, last season was a fantastic season for the club, and I remember seeing on your social that obviously you went to Wembley with Morecambe and things like that. And you talk me through your experience of that day, really.
Well, it's funny, really, because I've been there. The first season I went, the last game of the season, we had to get a point at Coventry, else we're going out to Football League. So I've witnessed the the highs and the lows. And that day, I'll never forget it, because I was the assistant then with the youth team and doing the YDP, the under 14s. I had about 3 different roles. But in that morning, we played Bury and got tanked. And then I came home and it was about 10-3. And usually I'd be on the phone listening to the games. And I said to Tracy and to Zach, I said, because he came up with his little baby. I said, we're going for a walk now around Townley. I don't want any phones on or anything. And that's probably the worst an hour and a half in my life. And I got home at 5-5 and my phone was off. And I thought, when I put this phone on, this is going to be the destiny of what is to be the next 12 months. Because my main job was YDP league. So if that meant they went down, they might not have a Cat 3. You know, there's a lot of positions. What happened? So I'm putting my phone on, it's going ding, 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 ding. I'm thinking, is this people saying you've gone down or you're going up or what, or you're staying up or whatever? And it were the best feeling when someone said Morecambe got a point, so you stayed up. Wonderful. So I've witnessed that. And then, well, last season, goodness me, to go to Wembley. When you think of the clubs I've been at, you never got to Wembley with any of them. Now, someone has said to me, you're going to go to Wembley with one of your clubs you've worked for, you would never have dreamt, no disrespect to us at the moment, Morecambe, but you would never have thought Morecambe 2 or 3 years ago. You would have been Burnley, Preston, or Blackburn, or something like that.
Yeah.
So the experience, the day, again, people ask me today, would you like to go again? And the answer is no. I don't think you ever enjoy a playoff. I went with Burnley when they played Sheffield United with my dad. It's probably the worst 90 minutes I had in my life until we went with Morecambe.
Yeah.
And when we've scored, I never, because we're in a good position, good seats and everything. And I had to go out. I said, I've got to have a drink. And I said, how long's left? 7 minutes. And I've no nails left. And I kept coming in. I'm thinking, goodness, mate. And the beauty of it, the lad who scored the winner, Carlos.
Yeah.
The penalty. I had him at Manchester College with me. He came I found him at Manchester College, got him to the club. He signed pro. Now he's moved to Luton. So again, I'm absolutely buzzing because of LT's journey. And as soon as he scored, about an hour after the game, he messaged me. Thanks to you, Finchy, I'm at Wembley. I can't believe it. And then 4 weeks later, he messaged me again. Finchy, I can't thank you enough. I've just signed for Luton. If you need out anytime. And I'd had him at Manchester College because I worked for them as well as Morecambe. So we had a good link getting people in from all over Manchester. So that's one of my pleasurable things, really, not getting a lad a really good lad, good family, kept his feet on the ground and done really well, you know. So it was good to get the win, but I wouldn't like to witness it again. If you're going to go up, I think you've got to go up promotion wise.
Yeah.
Straight away, you know. But it was a great experience. One I'll never forget.
And the season started pretty well this season, you know. 4 games in, I think now. It is 4 games in. 1 defeat, 2 wins and a draw, which is obviously a fantastic. And
for you lads being Clarets, one against Blackburn as well.
Yeah.
And it's a lad from Burnley as well. Lad on loan from Burnley, which is, you can't write it. Absolutely can't write it. And he's a great surname as well. Yeah. Remember the name.
Yeah, he's a good lad as well. He's a good kid. Good kid.
Yeah. So you know, I think what you've laid down for us as 2 growing up men now, and what you're doing at youth level football, obviously at Morecambe, and what the story you've just told us about Carlos, who obviously has now gone on and signed for another club, and that's an impression that you've put on that person, and that for me is fantastic. And I want to know all them stories. You know, I want to know all the stories of, you know, you can't tell them all because you've got 29 years of hundreds.
I still get phone calls now from lads I had in America in 2002, and they still call me Gaffer, and I'm like, because again, a story I can tell you of in America it was different. When I had the senior team, it was a short season. You'd play back-to-back games and you'd play out of conference. So we were in the Midwest, but we'd go to places like miles the other side of the country. So we'd play on a Friday and we had to travel Friday and play Sunday.
Wow.
And it was 3 games in a week at times. We were about thousands of miles traveling. Anyway, when we decided we're coming back to England, we're coming home, we had a big, they had a big do for me, the football club. And one of the lads comes up to me and he says, I can't believe it, Gaffer. I said, what? He said, out of your 28-man squad, you got on well with everyone. I said, you reckon? He said, yeah. I said, well, look, there's only 3 of you I really liked. And he looked, he said, what? I said, there were 25 I couldn't stand. I said, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He went, who were they? I said, you tell me. And I can't. I said, well, I've done my job then. So the point was made. Nobody could look within and say, oh, that's his favourites, they're his favourites. I treat them all the same.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean that nastily. You know, I got on well with most of them. But the point I was making, and I think that's important as a coach, you've got to be loyal, but you can't be seen as just with the same players all the time. Because people look through you. And we had the same example where a player who was on pre-season with us and he banged goals after goal. He'd been at West Ham for 12 months but couldn't get a work visa. 6'4" centre forward, and he's banging goals in for fun. First league game at season, and I told the lads, be at the ground an hour and a half before kick-off, collar and tie, you know, trying to get the values we have in England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He racks in 45 minutes late, flip-flops on, T-shirt, looking for his number. So I said, I'm sorry, mate. I said, you didn't stand. And everybody's looking in the dressing room. Here's our top goal scorer, first league game. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get, you know, I could be in trouble. Anyway, luckily, we still won 3-1. So he comes in afterwards and he's going up, barmy at me. So I said, not here, let's go in my office. And I said to him, I said, if I'd have played you, I'm done with the rest of the squad. Because me yes doesn't mean yes, me no doesn't mean no. I said, it hurt me more than it hurt you. I said, because I'm under pressure for 3 points. I said, but you've got to learn from it. And the rest of the staff, the players, and they all looked at me and thought, he's not messing about. But it was done professionally, and he agreed. And he said, yeah, I'm out of line, Gaffer. So it's how you deal with people, how you talk to people. I'm not saying I've been an angel all the time, because there's been some times in dressing rooms where I've got carried away with older players, with seniors, with not kids, but with senior players. But again, I've always thought I want to be talked to how I talk to people, if that makes sense. I don't want, it's not always easy in football, as you know, no matter what level you play at. You know, there's games where you get chewed out a little bit, but in general, you know, I've always been brought up, speak to people how you want to get spoke to. You know,
emotions get high in football, don't they? That's the thing.
Of course we do. I mean, for example, we've had a good pre-season, the under-18s. We played Wigan 2 weeks ago. He's a Cat 2 in the FA, the Lancs Senior Cup final. From what we should have been played 2 years ago before COVID kicked off.
Yeah.
So we were expected to get tated, but we lost 2-1.
Yeah. And
it was a good performance, not bad, you know. I could live with that. So last week when we play Oldham, we were expected to get a decent result. We lose 6-1. So within a week, you know, and you're thinking, goodness me, how does that happen? But again, that's football. So emotions are high. We try and tell players, you know, I don't try and say too much after a game, because you might say something you regret and vice versa. Now, we have all those games filmed. So we ask the players to watch the game Sunday, then on Monday we'll have an analysis and go through it. And I think that 48 hours does help you a lot. So your emotions aren't as high and personal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we used to have so many arguments, me and Youngie, on a Saturday anyway. So like, we're best mates now. I'll never know. We used to chew each other out.
Do, and these lads don't understand that. They don't recognise that. You know, I usually tell them, I said, you know, when you're on the football field, you're a different animal. I mean, off the pitch, I was a lovely lad. Never any trouble. My mum and dad, nothing. Never swore at home, didn't do anything wrong. Step over at white line.
That mentality switch, though.
Yeah.
Mentality switch, innit? That's what it is.
My lovely wife, Tracy, for 34 years, hates football. But she supports me. And we went out a couple of years ago to one of my mates I went to Blackburn together. And we've been best mates for 40 years. And he was a centre forward, lad called Mickey Graham, strong lad. And out of the blue, Tracy said, while having a meal, she said, what was he like? And Mick's eyes rolled. He looked and said, what? And because when I played, they were out to me. I was about 10.5 stone. But he looked and he said, we all used to say, I'm glad he's on our team.
That's what me and Young used to say on a Friday.
So I try and get my values into the young players now, which is difficult. It's a different mindset.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
I've got some teeth missing from staff games.
Yeah.
I remember one time going into the corner where that bloody net hung down in the corner and getting rattled in that corner, thinking I'm going to bring it down with one touch and then someone's just running through it back here.
That weren't me. You're not going to. No. I'm having that one.
That was Vince. We'll blame it on Vince.
Yeah, but I've had some good experiences, but in Sydney as well, that was a good experience. Again, I've been blessed really to have gone around the world doing something I've loved. You know, but I must admit now, at my age, I'm 57, and for the first time, I've been questioning myself about am I past it now? Because it's a young man's game now. Because I remember when I first started at Burnley, 1993, when I first started coaching part-time for the then Centre of Excellence, my role model was Clive Middlemass and Jimmy Mullen.
Yeah.
Be my age now, if that made sense. So I was like a 20-odd-year-old kid looking up to these lads. Now I'm looking at it now thinking, goodness me, I'm now that 50-odd-year-old old fella. And, you know, all the young coaches at Morecambe, we love this. But you do get into a situation where you think, is this it now? How many more years do I have of this?
For me, because as I've said before, I still do a bit of coaching, but for me, you're a 29-year football coach. Your knowledge, just because the legs are getting old doesn't mean that the mind's any older. Yeah.
Oh no, but I look at the way they've got all these different courses now and things, and it's a different slant. There's some of the terminologies. I laugh at them. And just bear me a sec. The dog's chewing something. Get off. I look at some of the terminologies of what. Hang on. Just give me 2 minutes.
Try tackling, Finch.
I will do. You'll get more than a slide tackle. But no, sorry about that. Wait, I look at some of the terminologies now. Some of the things they talk about, like lending the ball.
Yeah.
What's that about? That recycle. Oh, that just means to go the other way, switch away. I'll fire. And I laugh, and all lads laugh at me because they're all young coaches now, and they're all indoctrinated with all this kind of terminologies. And I'm looking, and they laugh. They say, "I'd love to get you mic'd up with your terminology."
Oh yeah, quality.
Well,
yeah,
I had,
again, you know,
I had it at training the other night. Someone was like, "Recycle the ball," and after the game, I was like, "Tell me what you think recycle the ball means." Because when I give you that ball to recycle it, what did you do? Like, you gave it away. Like a split second later, recycling, and that's giving it away.
But again, things get in time, don't they? Things change. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I do think you come to an age like anything. What do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, like I said before, Tony, when we're, driving to Morecambe every day.
Yes.
It's a long drive, you know, and it doesn't take it out of you. So, but no, it's.
So my next question was going to be, what do you think's changed in football? But obviously,
I think a lot. I think not in life. I think in general nowadays. I think.
Yeah.
For example, when we were kids, when I was at Blackburn, if I weren't playing it first in reserves or youth team, I wouldn't come home and tell my mum. If she said to us, when my mum and dad said, "Are you playing it reserves tomorrow?" I said no, and that was the end of the story. No, we're going to get on phone. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
My dad used to say, "We're not playing well enough. Sort it out.
You're not working hard enough." Yeah, exactly.
Whereas now, in life, it goes the full circle. You know,
everybody wants to get involved with it. Everybody wants to say, "Why is my son not doing this?"
Yeah, but I don't just think that's just football. I think it's life in general.
Oh, that's life. Yeah, 100%.
Everybody wants everything today.
Yeah.
They're not willing to put some effort in. Or, like, prime example, when we first got married, you saved up, you got a mortgage, you got a deposit, you got second-hand stuff. Nowadays, you're getting invited to weddings and they're giving you a wedding present. They want a dishwasher or something. I'm like, the hell? We were lucky to get a kettle. You know what I mean? It's just, and people are like, oh, lads,
love it.
They laugh, they love it because that's how I am. The world's gone mad. It's going mad. I watch football. I mean, the Euros. I better watch 30 minutes of the whole tournament. I don't watch football. I know you're quite surprised at that. I don't watch football.
That is surprising.
Which really scarpers my question about, you know, how well do you think England did when you didn't watch it?
Again, I saw the highlights, but I didn't put it down to go and watch it. You know, I was at, you can watch England. Now, there's a couple of reasons why. Not because I'm anti-England, but again, it goes back to a personal issue with my dad. Me and my dad had such memories. I can remember watching Mexico 1970 World Cup with my dad. Then I watched 74 with my dad, and I watched 78 with my dad, and 82. I was actually in Spain for 82 when England was over there. 86, 90, 1990. I was 25-year-old. My dad at his prime. Great times. 98. I was living in America. My dad came over. We watched England, Argentina again when Beckham got sent off.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of things, and for some reason, I just didn't want to watch the football one because we don't, weren't there.
Yeah. Which is understandable, obviously, because you've absolutely linked that in to
exactly.
Even though they weren't happy moments necessarily for England in them tournaments because we've never really done well, they were a happy moment for you because you were spending that time with your dad.
I think the good one of the best ones I had was when we played Germany. That's the first England game I'd watched for a long, long time. And it wasn't at lads at work, one at coaches I work with, and he's been a good lad. He's quite a bit younger than me, but he's been there when I've needed someone to chat and go through stuff. And he said, watch the game tonight. And I did. And he was like, oh, that was good, that. Especially because he did it for me as well, you know.
100%.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of good, you know, a lot of football's been a big part of my life. But again, as you get older, you do think, where do I see myself in 5-6 years?
Yeah, of course.
Where do you see yourself in 5 or 6 years? Because I've got a couple of other questions on the back of that, really.
Michael Douglas doppelganger.
No, I don't know. Because lads who know me, I do when I work, I put a lot in. After a training session, I'll go back to the grind, and some days I'm shattered because I've put so much energy in, and I drive it, and I get players working for me. That's what that's what I think one of my strengths has been over the years. I know how to pick people up. I know what things to say, what buttons to press. So, you know, and the staff at work have been brilliant with me. Last year, the managers who I've worked for at Morecambe have been classed. The managers at Preston, Bury, I've had some great times.
Yeah.
I've made a lot of good friends in football. But again, you know, it's like anything else. You can't just you've got to, I think where my next roles, I'd like to see myself after would be like in scouting.
Yeah.
Recruitment, where you're still, because I've spotted players and they've got good moves and good contracts.
Yeah.
So something where you're still involved in football, but you're not running around, because on training ground, it just take it out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Saturdays, youth team games, obviously a first team playing at home, we try and watch them. Sundays I'll go to the odd academy game because I want to watch next year's potential
coming through. Yeah.
So you know, there's no real. You know yourself as you've been there. There's no 9 till 5 set days. Some mornings I'll leave here at 7:30, and I won't get home till 11:45 at night, and then I'm back up again 6:30 day after. Off I go.
Doing it all again. Yeah, doing it all again.
But it just tells me that you love. You know, you genuinely love the sport, and that, you know, that's what this is all about. Me and Mark absolutely love the sport, and we do know a little bit about it, but that's why we want to get people like yourself on who, again, are a genuine lover of the sport, and you live and breathe it, don't you? That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, when I say I don't watch football, I can go out watching it, if that makes sense. If Morecambe's on, I'd watch it. You know, first team, I'll watch it, but I'm not one of those. I've got Sky Sports. You know, some people just put football on.
Yeah.
When you're doing it 24/7, did you really want to sit and watch it? There'll be some games like Liverpool v United, City v United, you know, top games when it's derbies and that I watch. But I couldn't just sit through a game and
just watch it.
Probably, no. So that's probably why my missus hates football, because
you always watch it.
Always on full time,
You know, I used to be when I was younger, I must admit, but not when I was younger, we had the big match and that was it. Highlights. We get 2 games a year if you're lucky, FA Cup final and European Cup final.
Yeah.
There's no live football. You know.
So we've only got a few minutes left, and what I want to touch on what you think is going to happen this year with Morecambe and where you see them, like your team, the under-18s, really quickly, and the first team.
Well, obviously the 18s, I've had 3 of the team already been around the first team this season.
Yeah.
So that's ultimately what I'll be judged on. Lads coming through, you know.
Wonderful.
Yeah. You know, last season we got the goalkeeper, got a pro, got the most points they'd ever had as a team in my first season. But again, is that really what you're in it for? And the answer is no. I think the answer is to produce footballers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a new manager's come in and he's a good lad. He's obviously we're a division higher. So I've got, hopefully for me, I'd love to think at least 3 or 4 get pro contracts. That's what I'm aiming for the end of the season. Morecambe, again, it's early days, but how the manager's structured and how he's a top guy, I think they'll get. I think they'll be all right. I think they'll stay in the division.
They've started well, haven't they? So
yeah, again, could be injuries. Who knows? You don't know what's around the corner, but certainly going in the right direction. So no, it's good times, to be fair, at the club. Since I've been there, like I said, 4 years, I've witnessed nearly going out at league to going up, and now in League One. So
superb.
What do you? We've got very little time left before it kicks us all out. What do you think to Burnley this season?
Again, don't forget I've been a Burnley fan when they're in 4th division.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously they're in Premier League now, and they think of the money compared to the other clubs have got at disposal. I see people on Facebook, some of my mates getting in the club, we've signed one or we've signed whoever, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. You know, when you've been around the football club, when they've been in League One, League Two, you've got to look at where you are and for what you are. And I've looked at other clubs in past. Charlton, they were in Premier League for quite a few years, and everybody was complaining. The manager left. Woof, free fall.
Straight now.
You've got to be careful what you wish for. Hopefully, they'll be fine. But again, football's a funny game, isn't it?
It's football, isn't it?
Exactly. And football's all about opinion, and that's the beauty of the game. People's got different ideas and different opinions, haven't they? So
exactly.
I think people's got to. People in the past have always asked me, "How do you think of such a team? How do you think of?" End of the day, they're not my team.
Yeah.
So I would never. Because I know how I'd feel if someone were commentating on my 18th and saying this and saying that, because you take it personal.
Yeah.
You know. So again, I would never say about anything about Burnley in a bad way at Morecambe or any club, because everybody's, you know, it's not your role, and it's not your role to be really concerned about. I don't mean that nastily, because I feel sorry for managers now, because there's 25,000 managers in crowd, isn't there? They all want it doing right, and that's the passion of the game. And it does, you know, who knows what the secret will be in football? Us will be all top managers, won't we?
That's it.
You know, I mean, I said to the lads today at Morecambe, I didn't say anything different prior to the Wigan game when we lost 2-1 in the finals than I did last week against Oldham. Yet we lose 6-1. I'll say exactly the same to a degree this week, and we could go and win 3-0.
Yeah.
You don't know, and people, they've got short memories. I look at Burnley, they beat Liverpool last year away from home. They beat United. You know, so you just got to look at what has been achieved at Burnley. I think they're a great club. I'm a Burnley lad. I'm a Burnley fan. It's the first person I look on results after Morecambe is Burnley.
I think that's something that we'd said on a previous one of our chats, me and Mark, is that Burnley stayed up last season with this very similar squad. Like we've no one's really gone out the door. So if they've still got that same mentality, then there's no reason why they, albeit a little bit older in the legs, but you still got some potential youth players that are going to come through. And
I think you've got to ask certain teams who do they want to play Burnley every Saturday in Premier League, and the answer is no. They know what they're going to get. It's going to be a physical battle. So again, for I think Burnley will be all right. I just think people just end up, goodness me, they've had one game. And that's what makes me laugh in football. Not just fans, but media. Media jump all over it.
Yeah.
It's such about it. Like they're going on about Preston there on Sky. They've lost 2 on bounce or 3 on bounce. So what? They put pressure there. What's not there? And that's why I feel a little bit angry about that, because it's not fair to do that.
It's definitely not.
Now if it's end of May or end of April coming into last week of season, then you could see potential outcomes, but certainly not in August.
No.
I
fully agree with that. So I think that's it for tonight, Finchy, to be honest. And I'm really happy that you were able to come on and join me and Mark. And it's been a fantastic conversation. And I can't wait to get it up and see what people's feedbacks on it is and get a bit of buzz about it. And we'll let you see it. Hopefully a couple of your lads will see it and hear some of the conversations that you've had. And
absolutely nothing. I think from us as the We Know Nothing show, but to you, Youngie and Mark, thank you for over the years always making sure that we're both doing all right. You've always took the time out to talk to us both when you've seen us or over social media, and you'd like to have someone who's been in the game for so long and got so many experiences to have that on your doorstep, so to speak. Me and Youngie, we were saying before you came back on then, like when you were saying how proud of us you are and stuff, I would like getting a bit choked up by it, because when you've got someone of your stature who's played the game and we've strived to be in that level and stuff, and it's not worked out for us both, but when you've got someone who's played that standard and has been in that environment and still in the environment saying X, Y, and Z, it just goes a long way. And we've always respected you as a person and as a friend and stuff. So from the We Know Nothing show, massive thank you for coming on and spending some time with us.
Anytime you need any help about anything, you know that.
We'd definitely like to get you back on later on in the season.
So it won't be a bad idea after asking questions about where do you think Morecambe will be in Burnley, and then possibly end it season.
Exactly. That's where we'd 100%. That's where we'd like to get you. But again,
100%.
Thanks very much.